Today we'll be taking a closer look at O Captain, My Captain by Walt Whitman. Not this captain, but that captain. That's right, that captain is Abraham Lincoln. Now I know what you must be thinking. Abraham Lincoln was not a famous captain of some ship, and he was actually a famous president of the United States. But to better understand this poem, we'll first take a look at its author, Walt Whitman, and then we'll see a little bit about what his works entail, and finally, we'll get into our analysis of the poem itself. Let's get started. Walt Whitman was born on May 31st, Anti-Tobacco Day. If you're anywhere from kindergarten ranging to 3rd grade, this would be known as Red Ribbon Week to you guys. He was born in 1819 in the city of New York. His family was a small farm family, and so for that reason, when he was just 11 years old, he was actually pulled from the public schooling system there so that he could help out around the farm. But even as a young kid, Walt always had a passion for reading and for literature. So you could always find him cooped up reading his books, putting books on the plow, that kind of a deal. And due to his amount of reading and passion, he actually became very well educated on his own, just working chores around the farm. Continuing on in his life, when it was time for him to move out and for the little bird to leave the nest, he started his career off as a journalist and an editor for the Brooklyn Daily Eagle, which, sad to say, burnt down 2 years after his initial employment there and his initial becoming the editor of the paper. Looking for new options of employment, he became a school teacher in a one-room board house found on Long Island. Here he was teaching literature and the English language. He was very much caught up in the times of the Civil War and got to see the culture shift and the paradigm in the States that happened and that came along with that war. His brother George actually was one of the soldiers, and upon hearing that his brother had been wounded, Whitman decided to move out to D.C. to tend to his brother George, and after seeing all of the other soldiers there in the hospitals, he actually just was a normal visitor. He went and he would read to them, he would comfort them, he spent a lot of time with those people that had been wounded in the Civil War. And as a resident of Washington, D.C., at this time he would see Abraham Lincoln riding around on his horse, going about the tasks and chores of being president of the United States at this time, working on figuring out a solution to the Civil War. They would exchange the occasional head nod, saying, "Hey, what's up, homie G? Super happy to see you, dude." But as far as a personal relationship between the two, there, or at least I haven't found any evidence of them sitting down and talking with each other. More just Whitman really, really respected Abraham Lincoln, as did the rest of the country during this time. He was pulling everything together and making sure that we got through this war safe and sound. What did all that information have to do with O Captain, My Captain by Walt Whitman? Let's dive right in. The poem is originally written as an elegy for Abraham Lincoln shortly after his untimely assassination, and as well as the Civil War. It really is just an extended metaphor, which is fancy words for saying the entire poem, while talking about shipmate and his captain, in all reality, it's drawing a picture and relating to the American people at the end of the Civil War. It reads, "O Captain, my captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship is weathered every wrack, the prize we sought is won. The port is near, the bells I hear, the people all exulting, while follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. But oh heart, 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 oh the bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies, fallen cold and dead. O Captain, my captain, rise up and hear the bells, rise up, for you the flag is flung, for you the bugle trills, for you bouquets and ribbon wreaths, for you the shores are crowding. For you they call the swaying mass, their eager faces turning. Here, captain, dear father, this arm beneath your head. It is some dream that on the deck you've fallen cold and dead. My captain does not answer, his lips are pale and still. My father does not feel my arm, he has no pulse nor will. The ship is anchored safe and sound, its voyage closed and done. From fearful trip to victor ship, comes in with object won. Exulto shores and ringo bells, but I with mournful tread walk the deck my captain lies, fallen, cold and dead. So there's actually a lot of cool things going on here. First off, what I like to point out is this cascade in the letters. I think it's really interesting that that's intentionally put there, and at least for me, it creates a sense of falling, a sense of hopelessness. You know, that feeling when you're in a dream and you start falling and then you're just completely helpless to everything around you. That's really what it invokes in the reader, and it shows that the American people felt that way after the death of their president, after the death of Abraham Lincoln, who was their great leader. We see that the shipmate is the American people. The captain would be Abraham Lincoln, and this great voyage would be that Civil War. So they're coming in from the Civil War. They've just finished. They've got their triumph. Their flags are flinging. The bugles are trilling. Their bouquets and their wreaths, and it's a big celebration. But they don't have the man responsible for helping to end this war because he's now dead. He can't take part of the fanfare with them. I find it really interesting in the second stanza that these are things that you would normally see at a celebration to end the war, but they're also things that you would see at a funeral of someone like a president or of a soldier, where you hear the bugles trilling, you see the wreaths and everybody gathering around to come together for that moment of solitude. This whole poem, you can also see, starts off with a pattern of smooth internal rhymes that help give it an upbeat rhythm. They kind of push the rhythm along and they help it to flow and ebb. And then in the second paragraph, or second stanza, we start to see a lot more of these apostrophes, these chopping lines, a lot more breaks in the writing that really show and express the disbelief, as well as it kind of makes you stumble, just like the death of their president did with the American people. And then at the end, when the narrator comes to terms with the fact that his captain is dead, he keeps pacing the ship, as if Whitman is inviting the American people, even though their president is now dead, their leader is dead, and it's a sad time, they must go on. The ship is still there. The people are still there. While their leader might be dead, they must walk the deck that their captain lies, and get over this hump. They're going into a new territory, into a new land. And finally, probably the biggest one, is the practice of anaphora, which is this, "Oh, captain, my captain." Walt really puts in captain twice right there at the beginning of these first two stanzas, and then we see captain again repeated throughout the entire poem, calling attention to it. "Oh, captain, my captain," making it possessive, making him our president, making Abraham Lincoln our leader, making him my leader, giving it that personal touch so that people could really relate and have something to grab onto while they mourn.